Here we go, another edition of the RR Show with me, Vince, laying the groundwork for our friend Andy. This episode is a fun one. I think you'll probably enjoy it. If you'd be so kind, leave us a 5-star review, share the show, and tell friends about the RR Show. By the way, we want to give credit to the folks who do give us these stories, give us permission to read the stories, so you can see the links to all the original posts in the show notes of this episode. So let's get into it with Andy. It's r/EntitledParents, posted by user Ion1A. My mom said she's going to hell because I have sex.
So, for context, I am a 24 female who lives with my mum and dad. Last night, I decided to let my parents know that I'm going out of state with my partner of 3 years for 4 days. My parents were furious. My dad calling me cheap and easy to get, while my mum calling me a whore who had no respect for myself. I ended up walking out of that conversation to lock myself in my room and cry. After my brother attempted to defend me, my mum texted me to come into her room. I thought it would be her to apologize and try to see through my perspective. But it ended up being a whole discussion about how she failed God because I became someone she did not envision me to be. She said she was going to hell because she did not mold me into a specific person. Eventually, she finally said that the reason she doesn't think I should go with my partner is because a man and woman should not go anywhere alone if they're not married. She eventually got the idea that I'm having premarital sex, which she says I'm selfish for not considering her feelings. She said I should think of her feelings every time I choose to have sex. I am honestly bewildered at this point. Keep in mind, I am 24. I ended up walking out again. Update. Unfortunately, I'm currently in grad school and have been paying my tuition out of pocket. I can't afford to move out as my mum charged me rent before I went to grad school, so I don't have the funds to get out. I had to beg her to let me file as independent for my taxes in order to get financial aid for school, in which she said I should be thankful for her for letting me file as independent. This next one is from Demon's Light 11, entitled Mother Tries Taking My Bowling Ball. So I, 20 male, really like bowling. It's a fun hobby and sport, and it's a great way to meet fun new people. Although I'm personally not great, I am a level 1 bowling coach because those who can't do, teach. If I'm not bowling in league or getting some good practice in, I usually wear my volunteer lanyard/coaching badge and allow anyone to come up for a quick lesson or some pointers. After league, I decided to try out my brand new Storm Nova. It's a green, pink and black ball, and I named mine Wonder Cosmo because I'm weird and name my stuff. Let me tell you, this ball is a dream. It cost me over $200 and was worth every penny. I love the way it smells and sends pins flying everywhere. I should add that I bowl two-handed without my thumb so I can curve the ball a lot. Enough of my geeking out though. After a few shots into my second game, a young teenager, somewhere between 13 and 15, notices my jersey and lanyard and asks if I was a pro. We'll call her Daria. Any Daria Pajic fans? No? Okay. Are you in the PPA? Oh, no, I just finished bowling league and this is my coaching badge. I'm just trying out a new ball. I explain why I have so many bowling balls, how I bowl without my thumb, and most importantly, what I decided to name them. I throw a few shots to show the difference between them. That's so cool! So you're kind of like Belmo, right? I like this Verity Crawley. She shows me her fave video of Verity showing off new ball. Me, melting that she called me Belmo. Do you have your own ball or want some pointers? I just started bowling last week, so no. But can you show me how to hook the ball? I said that was fine, but she had to ask her parents' permission. She leaves and comes back with her Karen of a mother. I swear this lady had the hair, the sunglasses, everything. She had 2 younger kids who couldn't stay still, that she just shooed off to the arcade. "What do you want, Daria?" "He's going to teach me to bowl like Dad. Is that okay?" "Why? Such a waste of time." "I don't mind. I'm a coach and I'm not going to charge." "Fine, go ahead. I'm only paying for 1 game, so make the best of it." I have the manager open her lane next to mine, but I tell Daria not to use it yet. I get an extra ball I knew was sitting in the basement from when I used to work there. It was pretty old, but it was light enough for her and fit her hand. Most importantly, it would hook if she threw it right. It was pretty old and didn't have bright colors like the newer ones, but it worked for teaching purposes. We use my lane and I walk her through some drills. The entire time, Karen is yelling and complaining, "How long is this gonna take?" And, "Once your brothers are done, we're leaving." And she kept asking what I was doing every time I got close to Daria. That last one I understand, cause it's a young kid, you know, and I'm a guy. You never know with that kind of stuff. I'm always super conscious of this though. That's why I told Daria to ask her mother in the first place. And I only ever touch a student to fix their hand or arm. That is it. Daria was super happy when she got the ball to hook and see herself improve just that little bit. It was a very small and inconsistent hook, but she was really proud of herself and she got a decent score for a beginner. After a little while, I asked what got her into bowling. It turns out her father had passed away from COVID. He used to watch the PBA tour and bowl in competitions. She wants to bowl to be closer to him. Oh, my heart broke. I felt so bad and was about to apologize until Karen cuts me off. "Oh, get it over with already. You haven't used your lane yet. Hurry up or we're leaving." I swear, this woman was heartless. "Hey, Daria. How about we play a 1v1 to finish up and then call it a day? If you win, I'll buy you a bowling ball." "No, thank you. I want to get good enough to buy it myself with my allowance. I still want to try to beat you though." "I respect that. Buying your first bowling ball is special. I'll get the cross lane started and we'll have our match." Clearly I was going to win, but I was going to buy her a beginner ball at the pro shop either way. We changed our screen names to our favorite PBA, PWBA bowlers and started our match. We had a lot of fun, and I gave her pointers throughout the game. Towards the end of our game, Karen starts yelling again. "Why does your ball curve more than hers?" Me, still holding Wonder Cosmo. "Well, I can hook more cause..." "Ugh, you bowl weird, you're cheating!" "No, I just have more..." "I don't want to hear it, you're a horrible coach. You probably touch kids when the parents aren't looking." "Mum, please, be quiet." Daria stopped and just looked down at her feet. Poor kid probably never gets a word in at home. "I'm sorry you feel that way, ma'am, but I assure you I never act inappropriately with students. And I'm just a level 1 coach. There's a silver ranked coach who usually works at this center and he doesn't charge a whole lot." "I thought you said you guys didn't charge." "Well, I didn't, because I wasn't busy. If you want a high-ranked coach, you have to make an appointment and pay their fee." "This is outrageous! You didn't even get her to curve the ball like you." "Well, like I was trying to say, I have a lot more practice and I don't use my thumb. Plus, this ball hooks really sharply, so it's more noticeable." "Then give me your ball. The one you gave Daria is ugly, which is why it's bad. You shouldn't have that ball anyway. It's a girl color." "The pink?" "Yeah, the pink. It's a girl's color. Give it to me and I won't tell the manager you touched my daughter. You shouldn't be touching girls." "Oh, hell no, lady. And besides, I don't work here." "How can you coach here but not work here? You're lying." "Yeah, whatever, man. I'm out of here." I start putting my stuff away to leave as I didn't want the situation to escalate any further. I quietly apologize to Daria and let her know that I'm on the United States Bowling Congress website if she ever wants a real teaching session. As I'm about to put Wonder Cosmo away in my bag, Karen grabs Daria's arm with one hand and tries to grab my bowling ball with the other. Now I use a 15-pound bowling ball, and I hadn't wiped down my ball from my last throw, so there was a decent amount of oil on it. Karen, of course, drops the ball on her foot. I try not to laugh. Daria wanted to laugh too, but held it in and went to help her mother. Karen tells Daria to get her siblings so they can leave. I wave goodbye and watch her waddle limp into the parking lot. Daria waved back. Karen did not. The manager was about to have the security guard go get Karen because she left without paying for her game of bowling, but I figured Daria had been through enough embarrassment for today and would probably be embarrassed many more times in the future, so I just added it to mine. Sometimes I read these tapes and I know exactly what story to expect. Sometimes I read these tapes, I think I know what to expect, and it's something completely fucking different. This one I'm reading and I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, it's from Whoop Troop, and it says, "Today I fucked up by not listening to Gwen Stefani." Before I get into my story, I'm referring to not listening to the chorus of Hollaback Girl. You'll know why in a second. So I had my first baby in early January. At about 2 months postpartum, I started noticing black specks in my poop. Dr. Google informed me that black specks that look like coffee grounds, like mine did, are caused by upper GI bleeding, and I needed to see a doctor, ASAP. I scheduled with my primary care physician and was seen in early March, 2 weeks or so after the specks appeared. They did a rectal exam and tested the glove for blood afterwards, which turned out positive. So off to a gastroenterologist to determine the cause of the bleeding. I ended up getting a colonoscopy and an endoscopy. The prep was awful. I endured a liquid diet whilst continuing to breastfeed. Shit my brains out while having to care for my colicky baby all night, then almost had to go to the ER for dehydration and miss the procedure the morning of. Unfortunately, after all of that, the results came back normal. Next, I was scheduled to swallow a pill camera so that they could see into my small intestine. It had nearly the same prep, but wasn't quite as awful this time, thankfully. I got my results back last week. They also came back normal. At this point, it had been 3 to 4 months of specs with no visible cause. I'd spent nearly $16,000 on procedures because of my high deductible healthcare plan that offered basically no coverage. My perplexed doctor prescribed 2 medications for me to take 5 times a day and told me to make another appointment in 2 months if the specs continued. Well, my baby's now just under 6 months old and we started solid foods this week. We started with bananas. Today, when I changed his diaper, I noticed some black specks. At first, I was worried he was having GI bleeding as a reaction to the bananas, but I read up it's not uncommon for partially digested bananas to cause black specks in a baby's diaper. And then it clicked. I'm about 99% sure my specks are fucking undigested bananas. It all makes sense now. I didn't eat bananas during my pregnancy because of reflux, but I started eating them again about 2 months postpartum, exactly when the spec started. I eat them most days because they're one of the cheapest fruits, hence why the specs haven't gone away. The original rectal exam must have come back positive because I had a bleeding hemorrhoid from the birth 2 months prior. And it would explain why now they've scoped my entire digestive tract and found 0 evidence of bleeding. So I've spent $16,000 out of pocket to eat bananas. I heard Hollaback Girl today and laughed my ass off when realizing that the lyrics say, word for word, this shit is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Oh, fuck me. Gwen Stefani impressions exclusively on our Patreon episodes. Worth every penny. Our next one is from Old Cheesecake. Entitled Mum is Angry Her Teens Can't Bully Children. BFF works as a kids minister at a small church, and she likes taking her 3rd to 5th graders on different adventures. So, just to emphasize here, these are 8 to 11-year-olds. These are literal children. On this particular adventure, BFF took a group to go laser tagging. I mean, who doesn't love a good old game of laser tag? When she booked with the place, she'd gotten the impression that her kids were going to be able to play games against each other without any other groups in the game. Somehow the communication got messed up, and her group was put into the first game with these 4 high school boys who had a day pass for laser tag. They could play however many games they wanted all day. BFF wasn't upset, got all her kids loaded up with their vests and guns, and they set out to play their first round. They ended up playing BFF's group versus the 4 high school boys. By the time the round was over, she had heard from a number of her kids that these 4 high school boys were being awful to them. Name-calling, bullying, and who knows what else coming out their mouth. As BFF heard this from her kids, she got a little annoyed. She calmed her group down from the previous game, and they got ready for their round 2. Again, the 4 high school boys joined them. This time the game was arranged so it was girls versus boys, with the 4 high school boys on the girls' team. And again, the high school boys were name-calling, bullying, only this time they picked up an even more aggressive tactic. These 4 high school boys started ramming into whoever was coming their way, knocking them over. These huge teenage boys were knocking over kids, literal children. They even went so far as to knock over BFF's volunteer helper, an actual adult. When they got done with that round, BFF was red hot and went to the counter to talk to an employee. BFF told the young employee that these high school boys were being aggressive, mean, and rude to her kids, and she was hoping to have a game with just her kids and no one else. Because at this point, a lot of her kids were bummed and upset and didn't want to play their last round because they were so done. The employee BFF was talking to was unsure about what to say, being a teenager herself, so she offered to go and talk to her manager. BFF said, "Absolutely, I'd love to talk to a manager, thank you." Enter an eavesdropping entitled mother. Excuse me, I believe those are my boys you're talking about? Oh, okay. They have a day pass. They can play if they want to. They were being aggressive with my kids and bullying them, and that is not okay with me. My baby and his friends would never do that. Believe me if you want or not, but I don't want my kids playing with them again. I was under the impression they'd have rounds to ourselves, and I'd like for my kids to actually enjoy a round before we go home. Wow, some church group you are. You're not being very Christ-like. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'd like to enjoy our last round with just our group. Oh my god, you're such a Karen. Yep, she actually said it. I'm gonna call your church tomorrow and tell your pastor what kind of Christian he has working at his church. Sounds good. Talk to you tomorrow then, I guess? And she walked away, leaving the EM shouting and calling BFF names. BFF got to round her kids up for one last game, without the 4 high school boys. And surprisingly, that lady never called.
So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince. Thank you to my producer, Kevin, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.